I mean, most of the time I get involved in an employment law case after something bad has happened, right? So usually it's after the employee has been terminated or demoted or something like that. There's certainly, I think, steps that you can take to try and, prevent that step from happening. But usually it's, if you've actually been subjected to what they call an adverse employment action or a termination, some type of, demotion so that your pay is affected, that type of thing, then that's when I would recommend calling an attorney. So it's interesting, discrimination cases are interesting because a lot of times, the employer will present a defense that says, well, it was performance-based. And, certainly we all have a responsibility in our jobs to perform well, to meet, goals and to do what we're tasked with doing. You probably have a discrimination case, whether it's race discrimination or anything else, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you're treated differently than someone who's a different race than you when you're being measured by the same parameters, right? So if a black person and I are both doing the same job, let's say it's a production job and you have to produce 10 things per half hour, and I'm producing 10 things per half hour, and so is the black person, and the supervisor comes over and is telling the black person that they're not quick enough, or they need to do more, or gives them, I get this nifty machine that helps me produce 10 things in 30 minutes, but my black coworker gets, a machine that keeps breaking, or less advanced machine, so it takes him longer to put it together. If it's an unfair situation, then I think it's time to kind of ask yourself, well, is there, what is the reason that this is unfair? And most of the time, if it's race-based, there's comments or jokes about race that accompany some different treatment. And the different treatment can be, this is the preferred route. You're a driver, this is the preferred route. This person was hired who's, whatever race I prefer, and so I'm going to take you off of the preferred route despite seniority and all that and give it to my friend. But again, most of the time it's accompanied by a lot of negative comments, racial slurs. Job discrimination is really tough because if you're doing everything you should be doing and you're being treated differently for something you can't control, like being a woman or being black or Hispanic, then that's a really terrible feeling, right? Because there's nothing that you can do to improve that situation, and you didn't do anything to get in that situation because you are who you are, And so what I see sometimes is, there's been this consistent kind of degrading behavior towards someone, and inappropriate comments or jokes and that type of thing, and then the employee who's experiencing that, starts feeling bad because, again, there's nothing you can do to fix that, and it's a terrible feeling. And so then their performance does sort of decline because they're in this really terrible, hostile work environment. If an employee is in that situation, and I know it can be hard because sometimes HR doesn't respond as they should, but if you can report to human resources or to a supervisor and try and solve the situation before you get to feeling too bad, I think it could be helpful to retaining a job. When I come in, it's just too late. It's hard to be a perfect employee when you're experiencing discrimination on the job. It should be a safe place for you.